Okay, so this is part 2. So this will be still just a minor chord tonality. We're going to stick with A minor, but we're going to talk about altered pentatonics. And altered pentatonics sound scary, but really it's just changing one note for the most part. Some of them will be changing multiple notes, but it's still going to be a 5-note scale. And I'm going to show you how I kind of think about it, and I'm kind of taking it away from what I regularly know. So this is probably the most common shape for us. And so the first thing we need to know is just where all of the notes are in terms of chord tones, which kind of did that on the last video. But instead of saying note names, we have 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. That's what we need to know to alter these pentatonics. So the first one we're going to talk about is going to be minor flat 5 pentatonic. And so all we're doing is taking our regular minor pentatonic, but we're going to flat the 5th on it. Right? It still works in that shape. If I continued up, right here you could. Generally, what I do, the 5th is also flat 5 is also here too. In this case, it's the 8th fret on the G string. I tend to want to play it there. Right. So it almost sounds like a blues scale, and we can get away with playing this over top of a just a regular minor chord that has a regular 5 in it. Sounds a little strange, but it could be a sound that you want to go after. Right, it seems to work just perfectly. Where it makes a little bit more sense as far as the Dorian scale is actually starting it from the 6th scale degree, which is going to be F sharp. So let's analyze the notes really quickly. So F sharp is our 6, A is our root, B is our 9, C is our 3rd, flat 3rd, E, which is our 5th, and then F sharp again, which is the 6th. And it gives us a sound like this. I'm just going to play the scale just normal first, and then improvise a little. A little bit of a different sound than you might be used to. Right, so it's a little bit of a different sound, and I would practice it just the same way that I'm showing you. Take the familiar shape and work on that first, and be able to put some stuff together with it, and then start to explore the other shapes. Just for example, if I were going to do that, let's just say I was going to play A minor out of this position. I just need to know where to flat the 5s. So in this one we have 3, 4, or sorry, 3, 4, 5, 7, and then root. So if we were doing that, we'd have to learn where all those, in this case, E flats are. Right, and then I would work on trying to build some material out of that, and then learning how to weave in between those two shapes. But moving on to our next pentatonic, we have what we're going to call dominant pentatonic. This, all we're doing is raising the third scale degree. So instead of just regular minor pentatonic, we're going to raise, in this case, C up to a C sharp. Pretty interesting little sound, especially when we do it over top of a static harmony. So the one that has a little bit less tension would be if we started this dominant pentatonic off of a D. So that's going to give us the note D, which is the 11th, F sharp, which is our 6th, G, which is our 7th, A, which is our root, C, which is our 3rd, and D again, which is the 11th. I'm not that great at these. I'm still learning how to use these, so I'll just play the scale over it, maybe improvise a little, just so you get to hear the sound. Cool sound. The other one that we would use is starting from the 5th, which is actually going to give us a major 7th tonality. So if we're starting the same scale, the dominant pentatonic, we have E, which is the 5th, G sharp, which is that major 7th, A, which is our root, B, which is our 9th, D, which is the 11th, and E, which is the 5th again. So this is how this would sound. What's going on with this thing? Let's try that again. So we're starting to explore things that are a little bit outside just the regular, you know, we don't sound like blues players anymore. We're starting to sound more like contemporary pianists or even saxophone players. So that's dominant pentatonic. Our next one will be the Maj7Sus Pentatonic. So this one is just like the dominant, except we're also raising the 7th to the major 7th. So in the case of A, we're going to have now A, C sharp, D, E, G sharp, A. Right? Sound, right? And so to use this one over a static harmony, it's basically you play the relative major. So in this case, it'll be C major is what we'll play over top of this. So I'll just play that for you. So one thing to note, I forgot to mention, since it is a sus chord, we will have a flatted 6 in there. So this would be more of like an, maybe if you're playing over Milestones, where it actually goes to a pure minor or Aeolian sound, this would be a good chance to use it on that, or if you're playing a standard where it does go to the 6th chord, but it does have a flat 6 in there, so in this case I am playing F over top of A minor. Kind of a pretty sound over top of that, but that's the only place that I think that you can use that one. There might be some other places that make sense for that, but that's the only one that I've found. So moving on, we have Lydian Pentatonic. So this is just the same thing that we just had, but we're also going to have a sharp 4 in it. So again, from our basic A minor, then we had dominant, which is just raising the 3rd. Then we had the major sus. Now we're also going to sharp the 4. Right? So a little bit more of an interesting sound, more so than the last one. Which we still have that thing that's having that kind of minor 2nd in there. It's a thing that I personally like a whole lot. So this one we have, in the case of just thinking of it from A, we have A, C sharp, D sharp, E, G sharp, A. And of course that just, that pattern just repeats. And so if we're thinking of that in terms off of a trying to play it over an A minor chord, we could play it from the flat 6. So again, that would be an Aeolian sound. Right? I'll just play that so you can hear it. Right. But we could also do that same thing, but from the relative major, which would be C, which will give us more of the Dorian sound that we're probably used to, and it's a little bit more, we have more application for it. Right. So again, it seems like it's a much more dark sound. It's a little bit different. Again, it's, you know, so much farther away from just that, so it's cool to be able to switch between these a little bit. And then, like I said, once you get comfortable using one particular shape, start to be able to where you can go between these at a faster rate. You know, to where you can get into these shapes from, you know, this basic one. But you can also get into these more exotic ones, where you got the more interesting sounds happening, rather than just staying in a a certain location, but also knowing how to get into playing that Lydian part of it, or sorry. Being able to switch back and forth and doing that all over the neck. And then so finally we've got what we're going to call Lydian Augmented. So we can view it as just like the Lydian one, but we also have sharp 5 in it. Or you can think about it as a minor pentatonic scale with a flat at 1. I know that sounds weird, but if we take regular A minor, just flat 1, or sorry, still play the wrong, sorry. We get that sound of Lydian Augmented Pentatonic. And so the two places we can use that is just like what I showed you, because of A minor. If you play it from the sharp 7, or just thinking A minor flat 1, you end up with that sound. Which is very, I think it's an awesome sound. Just doing that weird thing again, sorry. Great. Really, really cool sound. The other place that we can use it is actually off, just thinking of it as C. So that gives us some interesting notes in there as well. We've got C, which is the 3rd, E, which is the 5th, F sharp, which is our 6th, G sharp, which is the major 7th, and then B, which is our 9th, and then finally C again. So it's kind of like it's coming from the melodic minor group set. We've got that augmented sound in there. right? So I tried to mix a little bit of everything that we talked in there in that little short solo. But again, if we had just a modal thing happening, we have all these different options. Of course, you always want to add other stuff to it. You know, it'd get pretty boring if all you did was pentatonic scales. So with that, since we do have altered pentatonics and stuff, don't be scared of using chromaticism. You know, you don't have to just play the 5 notes, because if you combine all these scales together, you know, we'd have a pretty large scale. Because we had A's, we had B's, we had C's, we had D's, we had E flats, we had E's, we had F's, we had F sharps, we had G's, G sharps, and G's. You know, those are all available to us, even B flat in certain instances. If you listen to some Pat Martino stuff, there's a lot of times where he will include flat 9 over a minor chord. It's always used as a chromatic passing tone. It's never, you know, he doesn't do that, but you know, on the lines of something like that where you'll have a note. I think that's his little thing. Forgot what key I'm in, but you know, where he will use that note to get him from one place to another. So you always have these things, but it's all about rhythmic timing. It's the same thing, you know, when we're doing the outside thing with the side stepping. You get away with playing all these wrong notes, but as long as you bring it back and rhythmically makes sense, you know, on a downbeat or something, and you're playing a chord tone, which makes it even stronger, it really makes a solid idea. So again, don't be scared to, you know, try to venture out when you're even with just this basic. So hopefully this helped out with some pentatonic stuff that's a lot of fun to use. I'll make another video here shortly where we'll do the same thing but all on major chords and then dominant chords, which will break into just normal, just dominant, no alterations, so 9, 11, 13. And then we'll look at alterations of dominant chords, minor 7 flat 5, diminished chords. And at first we're going to look at them all as being static, and then what we'll do is I'll pick a standard that has something of a little everything, and how we can start approaching getting these sounds into actual playing changes rather than just over static harmonies, because that can be a lot of fun as well, being able to manipulate these sounds over top of changes, which for me is, you know, all part of developing a sound, especially if it's something you like. That said, the last thing I'll say is not everybody's going to like these sounds. Sometimes it takes a little bit to grow on you, but find the one that you like the most, because whatever you like, you're going to be more willingly to practice that, and more excited when you get this stuff down and into your playing. There's a thing that I think is kind of an epidemic with all the information that we have online, being able to have tons of knowledge and know how to theoretically do something, but not knowing how to play it at all, which is even my case a little bit on some of these pentatonics. I have the information, I know that I can do it, but I may not necessarily like the sound, so I don't practice it, or I really like the sound but I'm too lazy to practice it and get it into my playing, or I'm scared to, or whatever. You know, there's tons of reasons. And it could just be I have other things on my plate that I want to take care of first, you know, whatever it is. But find something, hopefully there's something in this lesson that you like, and you can say, I'm going to take away from this and I'm going to start using this, and then slowly developing your own sound, because, you know, that's the whole goal, is to be able to, you know, as far as jazz, the way that I think about it is, you know, we're all playing the same thing. We're all, you know, playing arpeggios and connecting chord tones for the most part, but it's how creative you can getting from point A to point B while still telling a story. So again, I hope this lesson helps, and look out for our future lessons on pentatonics. Thanks. See you.